Mark, we know they're not going to move on from the head coach, correct?
Yeah, I don't even like talking about that because it's such cliched, low-hanging fruit now is why we even mentioning it. People really think that if me, you, Dorin, whoever comes out and demands that this guy gets fired, that it's going to actually make a difference. No, it's not going to make a difference.
No, we're not going to force Mike Tomlin out. No. I think if the tune changes from the national media and that the outcry is enough and the organization is embarrassed enough, then that might eventually, not now, but eventually precipitate change. But regardless of whether it's going to happen or not, you can't sit here and tell me that they got the right guy doing it right now, Mark. You just can't.
It's not in the right situation right now. I think what you need to focus on, and I think what everybody needs to focus on, you got to accept he's coming back. I mean, right, wrong, indifferent, just accept it. Now what do you do to change things? I think that's what you have to change within the structure of him being your head coach. And I think there are a number of things that the owner could come down and say, this needs to happen moving forward.
And I'll let you finish in a second, but they have changed general managers. They have changed offensive coordinators. They have changed defensive coordinators. They've changed offensive line coaches. They've changed quarterbacks.
But who has his finger in everything?
Mike Tomlin.
That's who maybe shouldn't have his finger in Arthur Smith stuff, Terrell Austin stuff, the scouting department stuff.
Didn't we talk about this last year?
I don't know. Did we?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
That Mike Tomlin should not be allowed to hire Canada's replacement. And guess what he did? Hired Matt Canada.
I don't care if he hires him. I'm just saying, we saw it last week. He even admitted it. We don't want to be a team that turned the ball over. We wanted to run the ball against the Bengals. So it was obviously his idea. You can't allow that to happen if you're the owner and you're looking for some sort of change here without changing the head coach. I think you got to move forward in that regard. Say, Mike, you know they're face of the franchise. You need to back off a little bit and let these guys do their job uninhibited. And I don't know if that will happen. I doubt that will happen. I don't know why Tomlin would agree to that, but that's the thing you could think of where you can have change without change.
Yeah, well, because you say that they're not going to move on from Tomlin, so you don't want to talk about that. You think that it's realistic at all that they tell Mike Tomlin, you're not involved in the offense or defensive game planning?
Well, I mean, at some point,
paying him $15 million a year.
Within the next 2 weeks or so, Art Rooney's going to be sitting in front of about 15 of us. And guess what the first thing is going to be brought up? That quote he had last year. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have to answer to it. At what point do you have to start worrying about your reputation, your organization, your family's business over a certain individual? So,
and what do you think he's going to say?
Right.
He's a lawyer by trade. So he's going to say a lot without saying much.
Mm-hmm. My best guess is he'll blame the end of season schedule.
He will definitely say something to the fact that we need to be better. This is unacceptable. Mm-hmm. All the key words, but how do you do that? You just don't talk about it, right? I mean, you have to put something into effect here. Like I said, I mean, I look at that defense and I have a feeling maybe Terrell Austin will be the scapegoat.
Right, I was just about to ask you that. Who do you think the scapegoat should be?
I mean, Terrell Austin looks like I don't think he should because of everything Mike Tomlin. We see it with Hard Knocks. His fingers in everything, man. I mean, I don't know how a guy's able to do his job correctly. And I think that's partly why these coordinators stick around, why Matt Canada sticks around. Because they don't. It might almost feel sorry for him because they don't allow them to do their job to their full extent. I think he's one of them. I mean, you got to look at Pat Meyer, and I thought Pat Meyer was very good the past couple of years, but when you just look at the straight facts, the offensive line did not get better.
No, and this is the first year in the last 3 you can say that. Kenny Pickett's rookie year, they really started to run the ball well late in the season. Last year, I thought they played a lot better.
Other than that, man, everything else has been pretty much turned over.
Right. They've made changes. So
I mean,
you're going to make more changes within the
GMs, assistant GMs, coaching staff.
What does that tell you, Mark?
I know, man.
I understand that. But we know it's not going to happen. So why even, like I keep saying, why do we waste time on it?
Because do you think it should happen? Do you think it should?
That's a tough one. Because I can't even bring myself there yet because that's like me saying, well, I should go, you know what, I'm going to run a marathon. No, you're not. So why am I even talking about it? So it's hard for me to compartmentalize of this guy getting fired when
That's
I
a
know
yes.
it's not going to happen.
That's a yes. That's a yes. It's time to move on. I've been around you a long time. You're just not saying the thing you want to say.
But you know what? I heard you coming up here, and you were talking about why would T. Higgins come here?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tomlin. So there's a little sliver of, not interest, worth. He's still. That sounds like he's worthless, but he still adds value to that regard too. Only way you get T. Higgins is because of Mike Tomlin, right? In this certain setup. So you look at it that way.
Okay, but here's
I think there needs to be changes.
Here's the other thing, though. You say you waste time when you bring up the head coach. They're not going to do it. I get it.
Yeah.
But now we're taking up all kind of airtime, and we'll continue to do that on all the changes that they're going to make and need to be making, and ignoring the biggest one. And you spend a lot more airtime on that. There's a lot of change. If you don't get rid of the coach, then you got to make a ton of changes.
But if you get rid of the coach, you make a ton of changes.
Yeah, and the grass isn't always greener, but boy, wouldn't I like to find out. And I think the vast majority of Steelers fans are done.
But I look at it this way too: the guy signed through 2027. That's $50 million, right? That's not going to happen. I almost feel like, I don't have any inside info here, but Art Rooney's getting to that age where Danny's been around a lot, where he might be getting ready to slide in there. Maybe the Tomlin / Art Rooney timeline matches up here. Maybe he gets 2 more years, then all of a sudden, whoop. I don't know.
I was thinking about that the other day too. That's a good point.
Because right now, Art has a lot invested in Mike Tomlin. His whole entire career as the owner is like basically Mike Tomlin. I don't know how much a new regime would have that much of a sort of feel the need to. It would be a good time to make a break. I don't know. I'm just trying to line up times here. That's still the time where Watt's probably gone or could be gone. Hayward's gone. There's a lot of people are lined up in that 2 years.
The old kind of
maybe that's the thought.
When do the minority owners start getting fed up? Because that's what we heard about Matt Canada.
He doesn't. You think Art gives a flying what about the minority owners and what they say?
I think that they don't like to pay people not to work. And this is a head coach that's making a ton of money. Now, I don't know how similar it is to college, and some of that gets offset by what the other organization is paying in college. I'm not going to pretend like I know how that works. We'll have Doug in on Wednesday and we can talk to him about that. But if the minority ownership is willing to fork over cash, I think that's a big piece. And that's what happened with Canada.
Just like the season ticket holders, do you think there's about 15 other minority owners ready to step in? If this guy goes, I'm done. You're not getting any of my money. I'm out. Okay, here's another 10 more that wants to jump in. So I don't think they have any say-so. And what was that? A couple years ago, he was supposed to, the minority owners were supposed to send him Art a letter and say, we need changes. Art basically scoffed at it. Yeah, my name's at the top here, brother.
Yeah, we want to keep being the 14th best team in the NFL.